Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. An unexpected bit of news from out of the women's super flyweight division. Absentee champion Ashley Gonzalez of Mexico, who holds the WBC title, will be facing Spain's own Mary Romero before this year is out in December as part of a DAZN broadcast.
In Germany.
At what will be the 62nd annual World Boxing Council's convention, WBC's convention. They hold one every year. And Ashley will be facing Mary at this year's convention. Sporting a professional record of 16 wins with 2 losses, no draws, 7 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 18 professional bouts, Ashley will be making a defense of her WBC super flyweight title against Mary Romero, who when last we saw her, dropped a decision to unbeaten Rihanna Rios at bantamweight.
She will be moving down in weight for this one.
Sporting a professional record of 10 wins with 6 losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 16 professional bouts. That lone knockout came at the hands of unified champion Dina Thorsland, who was too strong for Mary Romero and overpowered her, essentially beating her at her own game because Mary, more often than not, is a pressure fighter, but Dina put the pressure on her and overpowered her.
That was at 118. This is going to be at 115, so perhaps that will help to make this a more even fight, a more even contest. That, yeah, Mary's coming off a loss, but Ashley hasn't fought in a while.
Mary's been active. She fought 3 times this year. She lost to Dina Thorsland in February, rebounded off the loss in March, then lost again to Rihanna Rios in June. This will be her 4th fight of this year.
39 years old.
To the reigning champion Ashley Gonzalez, who is 31 and was last in action well over a year ago. It's actually closer to 2. In March of last year, opposite the ring Lourdes Juarez in what was their rematch.
That's almost 2 years.
She beat Lourdes for the WBC title in October of 2022, then put a stamp on it in March of last year, beating her again by way of a split decision. But that was the only fight she had last year. She hasn't fought since then, and it's close to 2 years. We're actually closer to March of next year than we are to March of this one.
She needs to fight.
She has a mandatory challenger in the queue in the form of America's own unbeaten up-and-comer, Virginia Fuchs.
She needs to fight.
Virginia is momentarily out of commission due to an injury she suffered in the Adelaida Ruiz fight a few months ago. So if and when she comes back, it will be for Ashley, provided that Ashley takes care of business against Mary. Ashley, one of 4 champions in the super flyweight division. There is Argentina's own unbeaten Clara Lescurat, who's got the WBA title. Ashley's got the WBC. Mexico's own Irma Garcia, she's got the IBF. And Japan's own Mizuki Hiruta. She's got the WBO.
Saw a blurb about her getting ready for a fight of her own, which we'll talk about in another video.
This division has stood divided for years upon years, because none of these 4 champions are with a major promotional outfit that could help to put up the money to make unification fights happen. The best hope for unifications to take place in this division is if Gabriela Fundora moves up in weight. Gabby Fundora, who's promoted by Golden Boy who just got her to the undisputed crown. They might look to do it again next year in this division.
She might move up. When she does,
it's the world champions that she is going to go after, and Ashley Gonzalez is still one among them. Will she still be a champion after the Mary Romero fight? I think so.
While she has been out a long while, close to 2 years, look over at Mary. Mary's 39 years old, and she's coming right off a loss. She lost 2 times this year. This next fight might be her third.
Ashley Gonzalez, though inactive, is still fresher and younger, not as war-torn, not as battle-fatigued.
I think she can win a points decision against Mary. And what could prove to be a war, because they both have a mean streak. Mary and Ashley, they're both aggressive fighters.
I wasn't expecting to see Ashley Gonzalez box before this year is out. This was an unexpected, albeit welcome, bit of news because this division needs activity.
Yes.
Ashley especially.
Irrespective of all the Gabby Fundora stuff, she already has a mandatory in the queue in Virginia Fuchs. If she is to be ready for her when the time comes, she needs to fight.
She's going to in December, barring unforeseen, extenuating circumstances, illness, or injury. Ashley will be returning to action before the year is out. And we'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, you may have heard that Ryan Garcia's ring return may come sooner than expected. Ryan Garcia is currently serving a 1-year ban from the sport of boxing following on from his controversial showdown with Devin Haney earlier this year. However, despite his suspension being in place until April of next year, King Rai seems to have announced a fight that will take place in January. Famed for his lightning-fast hand speed and the trademark left hook, Garcia has become one of the most well-known fighters on the planet over recent years, regardless of the fact that he is yet to win a world title. However, the 26-year-old had the opportunity to claim world honors when he met Devin Haney back in April until he missed the weight by 3 whole pounds, foregoing any chance to win the belt and being forced to pay the WBC super lightweight champion for the privilege. On fight night, Garcia proved that he was world champion material, knocking Haney down for the first, second, and third time of his career on his way to a career-best majority decision win, although his glory was only temporary. Shortly after Garcia's upset win, it was discovered that the Californian had tested positive for Osterin on both the day of, the weigh-in, and on the day of the fight, eventually resulting in the win being overturned to a no contest and Garcia being handed a 1-year ban from professional boxing. But then how is he able to have this fight in January?
Maybe it's an exhibition match, and maybe exhibition matches aren't part of his suspension, that it's not an actual fight, it's not an actual boxing match that will be recorded on his record.
And so it appears the suspension has not stopped Ryan Garcia's ring return, as he took to social media to announce a boxing event in Dubai that will take place in January and involved undefeated French lightweight jabber Zayani.
Wait a minute, why is he fighting a lightweight? If the guy couldn't make super lightweight...
What have I told you on repeat, in video after video after video? If Ryan Garcia is not allowed some unethical advantage, he's just not a good fighter. He can't stay in character. We've seen him struggle.
We beat Devin.
Yeah, by blowing the weight by 3 whole pounds. Were you even trying to make the weight and testing positive for Osterin? He was on Osterin when he did it. How many times do I gotta tell you? This kid is not a good fighter.
He's not.
Although unknown to the masses, Zayani was a sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao for the Filipinos' clash with Keith Thurman in 2019 and was heavily linked to an exhibition in Saudi against Pac-Man in 2022. As for Garcia, the outing could act as an opportunity to shake off any possible ring rust before his professional comeback 3 months later, as he is linked to a monumental rematch with Devin Haney for his proposed April return, as well as a possible encounter against WBO super lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez.
Are any of you out there surprised that a guy who couldn't even make 140, he couldn't make 140, is fighting a guy from 135?
It's not even a guy from 140, he's fighting a guy from 135, because without these unethical advantages like missing the weight or using banned substances, Ryan is not a good fighter. That's why he's fighting a lightweight. You see so many people talking about how Devin Haney is a bully. He's a weight bully. Bear in mind, he's the one who actually made the weight. Ryan didn't. If Devin is a weight bully for making the weight, what is Ryan for not making it? What is Ryan for now fighting a lightweight?
A fraud.
So this is different from what we initially heard, because what we initially heard was that Ryan Garcia might have been coming back before the end of this year, not in Dubai, but Japan.
And not against this Al-Azizi guy, but against Manny Pacquiao.
Ryan's name was not the only name attached to a potential Pacquiao fight before the end of this year. There was also the name of Mario Barrios, a potential fight with him, none of which seems to have materialized because Manny is now focusing on his political career.
He should, he's an old man.
So now Ryan is doing this. A potential exhibition with Al-Azizi.
Huh?
I'm going to assume that this is an exhibition because he's not allowed to actually fight in a professional fight, a professional boxing match, due to his suspension. Though professional fight or exhibition, all the same, he's earning money.
He's not supposed to be. Not from boxing. That's the function of the suspension. For what you did and for what rules you broke,
You are suspended from earning a living as a boxer, and yet here we are. This technicality. I wonder how the New York State Athletic Commission is going to feel about this. We haven't heard anything yet.
and we don't actually know that this is an exhibition. I'm just assuming it is.
Because we know he's not allowed to fight. We know he's not allowed to be in an actual fight, but maybe he can be in an exhibition. This is outside of their jurisdiction.
It's in Dubai.
So this is perhaps why Ryan was initially looking to do something in Japan, then Japan turned into Dubai. It's because it's outside of the New York State Athletic Commission's jurisdiction, though you figure that if they don't like the look of this, don't like the sound of it, that if to them it seems like an affront to their ruling and they put their foot down,
They still haven't.
I don't think Ryan would be able to go through with it because it would directly affect his ability to earn money here in America, where his core audience lives.
If they put their foot down. We don't know if they're going to, and they haven't yet.
Though he may as well be going around them. He may as well that no, he's not fighting in a pro boxing match, but he is fighting in an exhibition. He is fighting, he is earning money.
So it's like he's not suspended at all.
I know how Victor Conte
I don't know
works.
what. Listen, I don't.
Yeah. I know how Victor Conte works straight up and down.
Whatever.
And he does your paperwork.
I'll talk
And
to
he does
somebody
your
else.
paperwork. So you got a
talk to
paperwork. You
somebody
get a paperwork that you got to fill out. Everything that you put inside your body, anything you take. Victor Conte will take down the paperwork and he will supply that to Tavada. Am I right or wrong?
Hey, bring on some. I love the people. I do it for the people, man. Bring on some people.
I'm
with a
gonna
boxing
ask you one question
And
just to
what's
see
the
if
name?
you don't want to
And
answer. I
just
want the
bring
people to
on-
know. Does
I
Victor
wanna bring on some
Conte
people.
was
Let's bring on
the
some people to
dirtiest,
talk as well.
and the guy that the history in cheating? You want to clean the sport, but you have Victor Conte with y'all, the dirtiest player in the game, the Pablo Escobar of PEDs. You want to clean the sport. You want to
Hey,
be a
Ness, are you gonna bring
trailblazer,
some- are
but
you
you
gonna bring
bring the
some fans
dirtiest
in, though,
play, but
as
you
well?
work with the
So we
dirtiest player in the
decided
game.
So what does Victor Conte's past have to do with Ryan's present? Is this particular content creator implying that Victor Conte and the Haneys had anything at all to do with Ryan's positive VADA test?
That's what it sounds like.
Ryan Garcia's samples from the day before the fight and the day of the fight all came back positive.
Right?
So if what you're trying to establish is motive, that Devin Haney had a motive to tamper with Ryan's samples, he wouldn't have had that motive until after the fight, whereas the samples they collected from Ryan were from the day before the fight, for the fight, and the day of the fight.
Logical fallacy.
Devin wouldn't have had a motive to tamper with Ryan's samples the day of the fight or the day before the fight because Devin was the one favored to win. Devin was the wide favorite going in. There wouldn't have been any reason for him to tamper with Ryan's samples, not until afterwards. Which is why that argument doesn't even make any sense. But what you're trying to do is implicate Devin Haney and implicate Victor Conte and VADA as being the ones responsible for Ryan's hot test. All of a sudden, you don't like Victor Conte, even though he's been there the whole time since before all of this started. You don't trust VADA. Well, what about the New York State Athletic Commission? They conducted their own test. They had their own sample.
That came back positive too.
How would Devin or Victor Conte have tampered with that sample if it was in their care? That sample was in their possession, and that one came back positive for Osterin, the same as the others.
Questions that none of these super sleuths that moonlight as content creators have answers for.
You don't trust Victor Conte. All of a sudden, you don't trust VADA. Well, VADA ain't the only ones who tested him. And what about Victor Conte? Sure, Victor Conte has a sketchy past. And he does work with the Haneys. But you know who else he works with? Demetrius Andre.
That's your buddy?
So the whole time you're palling around with Demetrius Andre, getting exclusives and conducting interviews, it never crossed your mind to ask him about Victor Conte? If what you're doing now is saying that the Haneys are guilty by association because they work with Victor, Demetrius works with Victor, they're Snack Systems athletes, and so is he.
Does that make him guilty too?
You're trying to make them guilty by association for working with Victor. Demetrius works with Victor, and you didn't have that attitude towards him.
And this attitude that you all of a sudden have towards Victor, that's convenient.
Victor's been there the whole time. You understand that? He didn't all of a sudden pop up in the sport of boxing. He's been in the sport of boxing on this end of it for years now, all the way back to when Canelo Alvarez tested positive for a banned substance. Victor provided consult.
He's been doing that.
How many fighters have tested positive for banned substances by way of VADA's anti-doping testing? And the whole time, I never saw anybody bring Victor into it, even though he was there.
When Oscar Valdez tested positive for a banned substance, when Conor Ben tested positive for a banned substance.
And I never saw anyone bring up Victor as an explanation, a deflection, really, because bringing up Victor doesn't make Ryan innocent.
Victor's got a sketchy past. Yada, yada, yada. What about that makes Ryan innocent?
Ryan went from blaming the Haneys and blaming Victor to blaming the supplement manufacturers.
Story's changed quite a bit over time.
You're just coming up with all these logical fallacies because what you really want is to siphon followers from him. Maybe even get an exclusive that if you talk him up enough,
maybe he'll give you an interview, and maybe you'll get to make some money from it.
So obvious. You're just using Victor as a deflection and a distraction from Ryan Garcia's inability to explain himself.
It's not that I like the Haneys or Victor. I just have a very low tolerance for bullshit.
Poorly constructed arguments in the name of bullshit.
Because that's what it is.
What separates a content creator who covers the sport of boxing and an actual journalist is the journalist is expected to get to the truth, the whole truth, even if it's ugly. They have journalistic integrity, or they're supposed to, whereas a content creator can manufacture all manner of conspiracy theories.
For clicks.
For metrics, unchecked and accountable to no one. They can make it up as they go along. Just the other day, I saw that Fanon guy say that they've offered Gervonta Davis $500 million.
Obvious bullshit, but who's gonna hold him accountable for it? Who's gonna check him on it?
So Ryan Garcia's fans' only response, only answer to Ryan's positive test is to bring up Victor Conte and VADA as if they're the only ones who tested him. The New York State Athletic Commission tested him also, and that test came back positive too. The whole time, it was in their care.
Not Devon's, not Victor's, not VADA's.
That doesn't get factored into the equation. It doesn't get brought up because it doesn't suit their narrative, and that's very much what this is. A narrative that the only reason Ryan tested positive is because of Victor Conte?
Bullshit.
The simplest answer is usually the right one. Ryan cheated. The same way he skirted around the rules to miss the weight by 3 pounds is the same way he skirted around them when using a banned substance. And that's all it is.
Skirting around the rules, the same way he's trying to now by having an exhibition in Dubai while he's under suspension.
There is nothing so upstanding about Ryan Garcia's character that anyone should defend him this vigorously. What they're really defending is their rights to be bigots, their rights to be racists.
Because that's what he is.